Alright, here's some information about quoting using sources. So I'm going to go through quoting specifically, but the same thing that I'm going to talk about also applies to paraphrasing, just minus the punctuation, minus the quotation marks. So some things in general, you want to quote when the way that the author said it is important. So it's not always what the author said, but the way they said it. Because you can paraphrase facts, and it doesn't really matter. Like a statistic, you can paraphrase and just cite where it came from. Versus you want to quote something when the way that the author talked about the idea is important. It's more valuable than the way you could say it. So you also don't want to start or end a body paragraph with a quotation. Those should really be your own words. It goes in the body paragraphs. So that's when you are introducing your source and using that support to explain or give more information. You want to make sure you use correct punctuation, which I will remind you about now. Then you explain how that quote supports your point, and you synthesize the writing into your own. So you explain how it supports your idea, kind of why you quoted it and why it's important. You shouldn't have more quotations than your own writing. So you should have more of your own sentences than you're quoting. And I would also like you to quote less than 4 lines at a time, because if you quote 4 lines or more than 4 lines, you have to format it differently, and it gets a little bit confusing. So I would prefer if you would just stay at less than 4 lines. So here's just general formatting, my example sentence here. So I introduce my source so that I know why my author here is credible. So I said one oncologist, so in an essay on oncology, he is an expert, one oncologist. I say the author's name, Sean Tremaine, and I have my verb writes, so my subject, oncologist, verb writes. I have a comma to offset the quote. You put quotation marks around it. And then in my source here, there are page numbers, so in parentheses I have the page number. And then the period goes at the end. So that's just one option. Let's look at some other examples. And just to remind you of our research cheat sheet that I made you all. So you started by making your works cited at the end of your paper in Noodle Tools or Son of Citation Machine or that EasyBib add-on in Google Docs that I showed you about. If you want me to show you that again, I can, or I'll make another video where I go through that. Right now we're talking about using the research. So if there's an author, you use the author's name. That's the first step. Whether you're quoting, like according to Soper, 9th graders are cool, or you are paraphrasing, according to Soper, 9th graders can be really fun, I have the author's name there. If there is no author, you will use an article title, according to Soper's blog, 9th graders are cool, so see a short article goes in quotation marks, such as a exact quotation. Or for paraphrasing, according to Soper's blog, 9th graders can be really fun. Either way, I say my source. If you don't want to say the source in the sentence, maybe it seems repetitive because you keep saying according to, you can put it at the end in parentheses. So for example, if you have an author, whether you're quoting or paraphrasing, at the end of the sentence here in parentheses, I put the last name and the period goes after. If there's a page number, it goes in the parentheses after the name. If there's no author, you use the article title in quotation marks, so in parentheses, and then if there's a page number, include it. If not, don't. Alright, those are really all the basic things that you would need to know. So, here's one paper that I like. So I don't think she quotes a lot, but look, she introduces who her author is. So this person is a film researcher, and that's what gives her credibility. And then here she just uses, she says that it was the Bureau of Labor Statistics that noted these statistics here. And then she uses a parenthetical citation for the author's last name. And here a parenthetical citation for this article. And all of these things should correspond with the works cited. So here, Gemma Holder that she was talking about, in this article that she quoted. quoted from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So those are all correct. Here's another example essay. Zoom in a little. So here she lists the institute. We have an exact quote, so comma, quotation, and then period quotation at the end. And she explains why she included it. Here she tells us the organization that the information came from. Here, in the opinion of, and then she says the organization that she's quoting, an exact quote. Here she lists this organization. Alright, let's look at one more. I have one more up. Let me zoom in. Alright, we have an author, Annie Dillard. So we have still a subject and a verb. You can't just have the quote by itself. That's a fragment. So subject, verb, Annie Dillard once said, comma, quote, and then she has the rest of the quotation. She does a comma, which she didn't need to do here. That really shouldn't be there. I'm going to delete it. The quotation, and then she also didn't need this parenthetical citation because she already has the author. You don't need both, because if I look down here, I should see the author, and I don't. So she didn't cite this correctly in her works cited. Anyway, it should really be, well, did she cite the writing life? Nope, not that either. So that's accidental plagiarism, which remember we're trying to avoid, because I don't know where the source is from. Next one, parenthetical citation here of the article title. She uses two. So that hopefully should be down here. Yeah, about occupational therapy. Let's see what else we can find. Here is an article, first woman to receive most advanced bionic hand. And then she said from NBC News, which she didn't need to do here because it's in your works cited. But, I mean, it's not wrong. It was just overkill. Alright, so there are a lot of examples. I have some quotations, not quotations, I have some links about citing here in the expository essay Canvas assignment, which if you want to read more, you can go down here and look for them. Here's your in-text citations. Otherwise, make sure that you tell whenever you are using information from another source and just punctuate it correctly. So best of luck. Let me know if you need more help.